Hi, my name's Jodi Franklin, and I'm a functional medicine practitioner. And I'd like to tell you today about the true root causes of psoriasis and how you can put it into remission and be symptom free. And we've done this many times in our practice. So I'd like to tell you some of the root causes, and then I'd like to tell you some solutions and also give you some ideas for rapid relief so you can start feeling better right away. But first of all, I do want to share with you some success stories from my own practice just to inspire you and show you what's possible. So, this is my client, John, who suffered from very severe psoriasis. In fact, he was on prednisone and was in such excruciating pain he couldn't even tie his shoes. You can see on the left when he came to me, his hands were very cracked and dry. And 5 months later, he is completely off the prednisone and his hands are healed. He's a woodworker, so you can see they're a little stained here, but he is very much in remission from his psoriasis. And I'll show you another case here. These are some other success stories, but this one here down the bottom, you can see this client on the left side, her severe psoriasis, and on the right side, healed. And this is without any medication. So I just wanted to say this to just impress upon you how possible this is to really relieve your psoriasis and go into remission with it. And we actually do a lot of testing. We work with lab work. Even if all your labs say normal, there's a lot of information we can glean from it, even within reference range. And we also do advanced lab work that gets into seeing what's going on in your microbiome, because this is really where a lot of disease stems, in particular autoimmune diseases. But I like to liken it to a rocket launch sequence, let's say, where you have to turn several keys in order to launch the rocket successfully. You can't just turn one key. It has to be several keys turned. So same with autoimmune diseases in general, and psoriasis too. Sometimes there can be 3 or 4 keys. Sometimes it can be 12 or 17 keys. And so it makes it a difficult disease to reverse, but it's not impossible. And you just have to really dig deeply to find all the root causes to figure out what is driving this disease in this individual person. And the hard part is what drives psoriasis in one person can be completely different from the drivers in another person. So we have to really do some digging and exploring to figure things out. Now, there are definitely some commonalities. And one of the big commonalities is issue with bile acids and sometimes this hepatic biliary congestion. That is liver gallbladder congestion that can cause the bile not to be able to work properly to emulsify fats. And bile is really a detergent as well. It doesn't just help break down fats, but it also breaks down what's called endotoxins. And these are toxins produced, like toxins such as they're called lipopolysaccharide, that are produced in your gut. They're a waste product and they're kind of dead body parts, more like dead body parts of these microbes in your gut. And if you have a microbial imbalance, you may not have enough bile to break down. And this can cause a big surge of cytokines in your system, which inflammatory cytokines, which can actually wind up through molecular mimicry attacking your skin. And I know that sounds complicated, but it's really something that can be reversed. And just know that some of these overgrowths in your gut, it can lead to things like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or SIBO. It can lead to other overgrowths. We often see fungal overgrowths. There's a high incidence of Candida overgrowth in patients with psoriasis. So especially scalp psoriasis, those of you who get that itchy, terrible scalp, there's a high, strong correlation with actually Candida when you have it in the scalp. And so one of the foods that we recommend stopping, especially for scalp psoriasis, but really psoriasis in general, is to cut back on foods with sugar, because sugar really feeds the Candida overgrowth or the fungal overgrowths, and it can be really detrimental. The other thing is alcohol. Alcohol is rocket fuel for your psoriasis, and it can make it much worse. Now, everybody's a little different. It may not necessarily be Candida in every person, but there is a high correlation. So we like to test and not guess. And one of the tests we do in my practice is stool test. So you should try to find a functional medicine practitioner who can help you to determine all the root causes. And if you can't find anyone locally, we work remotely all over the world. You can Google my name, jodifranklin.com, to find my website if you're interested. But any really good functional medicine practitioner who has experience with psoriasis should be able to help you do this. Now, you also want to we also look in the gut for diversity. And sometimes there's a real lack of diversity in the gut, lack of good bacteria, low what's called Akkermansia municipalis. And what that is it just shows that you don't have enough butyrate in your gut. So you would need something like more prebiotic fiber to help feed. That's kind of fuel for the melanocytes in your gut. So oftentimes that can be a problem with psoriasis. And that's something we look at. We also look at short chain fatty acid balance. Oftentimes there's a fatty acid issue with psoriasis. So for example, you notice if your skin's very, very dry, you may not have enough omega-3 fatty acids, and that's very common. And sometimes it's because the bile issue is an issue. It can't break down the fats. So your fat soluble vitamins and your omega-3s don't get broken down sufficiently. And sometimes there's just a kind of a crappy diet that you may not get enough of these nutrients in your diet in the first place. So sometimes a really good quality omega-3 supplement can be helpful. And you don't want to just buy your supplements anywhere at any drugstore or convenience store, because the quality of the fish oil really varies wildly. And you don't want to have rancid fish oil. It can actually add fuel to the fire for your psoriasis. So make sure it's a really good quality fish oil. You can do your research on that. There's some good ones on my website, the store on my website, if you want to check those out as well. Now, some of the other things that can really add fuel to the fire for psoriasis, one of the big drivers is toxicity. And those of you who are smokers, that is just poison for your psoriasis. It's going to make things much, much worse. There's so many toxins in cigarette smoke. So I would recommend quitting cold turkey. That's the easiest way to do it. I'm sure there's some good videos on YouTube for you to figure out how to do that, but that's going to be a really important step, but it's not the only step. Remember, you have to turn all the keys, and not only just stopping the smoking, which is going to stop the flow of toxicity, but you might have to detoxify to get rid of the toxins that are in your system, in your bloodstream, maybe gunking up your liver, et cetera. So these are all things we look at. One of the main drivers also for psoriasis is enhanced intestinal permeability, or what we call nowadays leaky gut. A lot of you may have heard of leaky gut. And what happens is you're supposed to have some real tight junctions like this lining your intestinal walls. And what's supposed to get through these tight junctions is maybe a tiny molecule of protein gets through, or a tiny molecule of vitamin A gets through, and it gets in to your bloodstream. And this is how you feed your cells, right? By getting through that one cell thick mucosal layer of your gut. And what happens with leaky gut is these tight junctions pull apart. And when this happens regularly, what happens is a big chunk of food will get through. Let's say a chunk of egg might get through into your bloodstream. And your immune system is surveilling. And when it sees something that it perceives as a threat, and this happens over and over again, it will start attacking. And through molecular mimicry, will eventually attack your skin cells. And so, this can result in all kinds of different autoimmune conditions. In your case, if you have psoriasis, it's your skin that's the victim. Unfortunately, once you get one autoimmune disease, you are many, many times more likely to get another. And the most common autoimmune disease by far is Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So your thyroid is actually very much at risk, not because of your psoriasis, but because your immune system is choosing another victim, so to speak. So I recommend that you take care of the psoriasis, take care of it, find out all the root drivers, take extremely good care of yourself so you can put it into remission and make it so you are much, much less likely to get another autoimmune disease. So anyways, how to repair your gut, that's something that we work on with our clients. But the foods that are most likely to cause enhanced intestinal permeability are gluten and gluten grains. Dairy is also through very similar molecularly to gluten, the casein protein in dairy. A lot of people are lactose intolerant. Actually, a great deal of the population in the world is lactose intolerant and don't realize it. So this can cause this inflammatory dynamic in your system. Grains also can be molecularly similar to gluten. So sometimes we recommend eliminating gluten, dairy, and grains from your diet, eating a diet rich in fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, healthy, meats that are raised well, like grass-fed or organic variety. And this kind of diet is actually going to give you the best chance of reversing your psoriasis. But it's not enough just for the diet. For some people, it can be. Sometimes you clean up your diet and you'll find your psoriasis gets better. But if it still persists, you need to dig deeper and figure out all the root drivers so that you can be psoriasis free. So another, related to the enhanced intestinal permeability is the food sensitivity piece of it. So whether or not you have a sensitivity to gluten, I still recommend removing it from your diet because of the intestinal permeability piece. But there could be other foods that are causing this dynamic, and it's a good idea to get it tested. Now, not all food sensitivity testing is 100% accurate, but it can give you a really good way to figure out the information that you need to give it a try and then work on healing your gut. And there's ways that we can show you how to do that to really heal that mucosal layer while you're eliminating the foods that are causing the damage to the gut lining, to that endothelial lining of your gut. So anyway, so those are some things you can do. And one of the I recommend doing a food sensitivity test that has a complement. Those are less likely to have false positives. Some of the other ones can tend to have false positives, and it can light up quite a bit if you have a lot of false positives on that test and make you want to eliminate a whole bunch of foods that you may not necessarily have to. So those are some of the causes. The toxicity is a problem. Your diet could be a big problem, not getting enough nutrients, nutrient insufficiencies. And we can test for that as functional medicine practitioners. We can see what's going on. And you may have to supplement to make up for some of those nutrient deficiencies. But just going to the grocery store or the drugstore and getting a multivitamin may not be the best choice, because it's oftentimes the wrong forms of certain vitamins, and can sometimes make things worse, especially if it has added artificial colors or flavors or things like that in the supplement. Stress is another huge driver for disease in general. Autoimmune stress alone can cause a lot of damage. So that's another thing, whether it's physiological stress or psychological stress, either way. So stress of the things that are going on in your gut, maybe microbial overgrowths, maybe there's a parasite, maybe there's overgrowth of an endemic species in your gut, maybe there's pathogenic species in your gut. These are all things that can cause stress, but also emotional stress can be a big problem. Trauma, all these things can actually cause disease and make your immune system take notice. So those are things that you really want to address as well. Doing some meditation and relaxation is really, really important. Don't be working 80 hours a week. It's not going to help your psoriasis. You're going to need to find a way to relax. So, and get some vitamin J, as we call it, some joy in your life in order to reverse this dynamic. So there's a whole bunch of other things. Stress could be secondary to low cortisol secretion. Sometimes we had so much stress that our adrenal glands, which are right above the kidney, secrete a lot of cortisol, and eventually it crashes. And when there's low cortisol, it's very, very hard to heal, either when your cortisol is too high or when it's too low. So you need to address either one, and there are things that you can do. There's some supplements we get help with that, or there's ways to do it naturally as well. I'm not saying supplements aren't natural, but there are other ways to do it, even meditation and things like that, and getting enough sleep, going to bed at a good hour, and taking really extreme good care of yourself can go a long way to repair um, uh, your adrenals. And over exercising is a really bad idea. I've had clients that come to me that are running marathons and wondering why their diseases aren't going away. They think they're healthy running a marathon. And, if you're in very, very good condition and don't have any disease dynamic in your system, that's okay to run a marathon every once in a while. But if you have an autoimmune disease, it's probably a really good idea to stop that and maybe do some yoga and stretching or some walking instead. That's a better choice for you. And there's also genetic predispositions to autoimmune diseases. In fact, I have some genetic predispositions for it myself. And I had an autoimmune skin disease that I suffered with for many, many years, and for which I am in full remission. I actually had chronic urticaria. I had hives all over my body. And that's a discussion for another day. But anyway, there are some testing that we do in functional medicine that really tell us what's going on molecularly, what's going on in the gut, what's going on nutritionally with a person. There's all kinds of really advanced testing that are not available in Western medicine, unfortunately. I think they will become more and more widely available because the results that we get in functional medicine are just incredible. If you want to see some more success stories that are pretty mind-blowing, you can even just go to my website, jodifranklin.com, check out the Happy Clients tab and see what is possible. I mean, from putting all kinds of autoimmune diseases into remission. Vitiligo is another one I work with quite a bit, and amazing success stories where you can see the vitiligo completely healed. So the other thing I wanted to mention finally is some rapid relief items for you. So bile acid salts can help in a lot of cases to help. There's a good one. There are some good ones on my website also, but I would recommend topically some things. Now, these are never going to heal your psoriasis because it's topical. It's not a root cause resolution. But I do have on my website in the store some really great skin products that are excellent for putting on your skin and giving you that really nice coverage where your skin doesn't feel as irritated anymore. So you can look on there. There's a dream cream on the collection on my website, and I'll put it in the notes of this talk as well, so you can see the link. And there's also like something like called body butter that's very good as well. But you want to make sure whatever you're putting on your skin is completely free from all toxins. This is critical because toxicity is a huge part of why you have psoriasis in the first place. Another thing I didn't even mention was a lot of people have dental amalgams. Those are the silver fillings that you may have in your mouth. And for some people, it's not a problem. For other people, you are not methylating well or getting rid of the toxins well, so they're accumulating and recycling in your system, especially if you're constipated. These things can't get through. So that's another thing we can address and take care of for you. But the toxins build up in your system, and anything you put on your skin, it doesn't take long to wreak havoc with your immune system. In fact, if you eat something that has toxins in it, like let's say pesticides, your liver works to kind of get rid of the toxins, and it can't get rid of all of them, but it does a pretty good job filtering out, except if you have fatty liver or other hepatic biliary congestion, like we talked about. So that can be a problem. But putting things on your skin and on your hair and, products that you clean your house with and your laundry detergent, all these things, it is really important to make sure that you're using items that are completely free from all toxins. And I would you can make some of your own products if you want, but even some of the things that you find like Mrs. Meyer's and Burt's Bees, some of these products you would think, and seventh generation, some of these actually still have toxins in them. So you really need to get to know what's safe. But I like to use this Rosemary scalp shampoo and conditioner, and they're on my website, so you can take a look. I'll put the link below. But there's also a rosemary scalp treatment. Is very, very soothing for scalp psoriasis as well. So I hope that these things help if you're and make sure that you're using clean soaps and laundry detergents, dishwasher detergent, everything. Really clean up your house. I actually literally went around my home and got rid of all the toxic products that I used to use. And once I found out just how many toxins are in the products that we're using. In fact, the average baby nowadays is born with over 260 toxic chemicals in their umbilical cord blood. And it's just the incidence of childhood diseases is just rising and rising. I'm finding more and more children coming to me, little toddlers, little babies with autoimmune skin diseases and other issues. And I think the incidence is so much higher than it ever was before. So these are all things we're looking at to help detoxify from, but not having them in your home in the first place and putting it on your skin in the first place can make a big difference. So anyway, that's all I wanted to talk to you about today. I hope that you took home some good pearls that can help you to overcome psoriasis. And I also am working on an anti-aging program for those of you who want to use real science to show you how to stop the progression of age on your skin. I'm actually 57 years old and have never had any cosmetic procedures. And there are ways to do it. There's incredible research on this topic. So I hope you stay tuned and follow me for more tips. Anyway, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.